everyone doing? Thank you. It's okay, I understand. You know, I do conferences.
Last panel.
The last panel is always the one that's the toughest, but we're here to bring it. Everyone's super psyched. We had a lot of Red Bulls upstairs, so we're ready to go. Before we begin, let's just do a quick hello and introduction, starting with Adrian.
Hi everyone, this is Adrian. I got a Newman Hong Kong t-shirt today. Intentionally made it for 2049 actually, to tell everyone we're from Hong Kong. So we are a VC firm headquartered in Hong Kong with presence in Singapore, India, and US as well. We predominantly invest in consumer economy space, developer tools and infrastructures. So hopefully we'll share something interesting later.
Hi, I'm Gary. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Terminal 3, which is a decentralized user data infrastructure company, and also the chairman of Web3 Harbor, which is the Web3 Industry Association in Hong Kong.
Hi guys, I'm Karen, head of social of 9gag and Memeland. I'm really happy to be in Singapore, and thanks for having me.
Edith, Yeung, general partner at Race Capital. We are seed investor in Solana, Lightning Network, PolySign, and many other projects.
Great, and I'm Casey. You may know me. I'm usually doing that other guy's job at Rise and Web Summit, but I started a new group called HKG DAO, organizing and building the builder community in Hong Kong. So I guess the thing that first I want to say is that we're not being paid by the Hong Kong government to be here, right? This is 100% a bunch of people who are super bullish in Hong Kong, and we're here in Singapore. Everybody must know TOKEN2049 was originally started in Hong Kong. It did a great run there during the ICO era and things like that. Of course, the pandemic turned things on its head, but the team has just brought up a slide that we created to the HKG DAO ecosystem of the Web3 companies, the investors, the brands, the DAOs, the conferences, and the community that exists there. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But I want to get a vibe check from the panel here, starting with Adrian. 2019, everybody knows what happened in 2019. And then, of course, Hong Kong went through some crazy stuff during the pandemic. What are you seeing today in Hong Kong? What's exciting in 2023 as we are here in Singapore talking about Hong Kong?
I think ever since pandemic, you have 10 meetings in the afternoon central. Just people are so eager to do business, and I think that's at the end in Hong Kong.
Yeah. Gary?
Yeah, the excitement is definitely back. The industries that drove Hong Kong's economy pre-pandemic are coming back. The art, culture, obviously financial services, businesses, technology is just, there's so much opportunity in Hong Kong. I'm not a Hong Konger, professional observer for many years of Hong Kong. I'm just super excited to be building there right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like we have holders in Hong Kong, and they're very sophisticated, and we have regular meetups, and it's just like, it feels like it's really happening, and good to see everybody in like one space, and they're still bullish in this market. So yeah, I'm really excited about it.
I'm obviously biased, born and raised in Hong Kong, but I spend most of the time in the US. I really think Hong Kong is completely opposite of what's happening in America. In the US, it's almost sort of like you can't even say the word crypto. People are like scared. There's some like bad happen. But walk through this, or if you guys come visit Hong Kong, it's completely night and day. And I was reading this article earlier in backstage about John Lee, who's the current chief executive, literally said that Hong Kong, he wants Hong Kong to be the #1 Web3 hub in the world. And in some sense, I think it already is. And you know, Gary probably can talk more coming from Web3 Harbor. There's just so much going on regulatory-wise, infrastructure-wise, to make people feel, you know, as a developer, make them feel safe.
Safe to build, yeah.
To build in Hong Kong. Otherwise, you know, Adrian wouldn't set up his fund investing actively in the space. In the US, pretty much like most of the funds, billions of funds from the Paradigm to Andreessen, they're all like literally shifting from being a crypto fund to an AI fund, and you're like, what the hell? And the active investor is a lot less now compared to before.
Yeah, I agree. So I also spend a lot of time, I lived in Hong Kong for over 20 years, and I went back to Canada during the pandemic, and then saw this kind of thing happen over there. But coming back to Hong Kong, it's crazy when you land and you see ads for the sandbox in the RMTR, which is Singapore's MRT. I'm talking like very interesting letter change there. But there's a lot of that. There's NFT magazines and 7-Eleven telling people how to open their wallets and buy NFTs. I was very surprised. When I tell people from the U.S. that this is happening, they can't believe that this is something that they see there. So right now on the panel, we've got 2 investors, we got 2 builders. So I kind of want to start with Adrian again. You know, what is Hong Kong? How is Hong Kong positioning itself right now as to be the hub for Web3 innovation and investment? Like, how are they positioning themselves to the world? We all saw the Hello Hong Kong campaign, right? Giving out free tickets to people to fly in. But how do you see it from maybe from an investor's point of view?
Well, I think I talk about, actually when I first time met Gary, we talked about the definitions of a hub. And I was confused about Hong Kong spending all the times on licensing and regulation and all this. But turns out, I formulate the thesis is if you have to become a global hub, you start with capital market. Have a capital market, a licensed one, a stable one, and then you go with talents and users. So Hong Kong is in the stage of creating that established capital market for crypto. We have the license exchange being approved, start trading for retail starting from June time this year. So I think the next stage for positioning ourselves among all the Asian countries, if not globally, is how we can attract talents into the city. And attracting talents is not purely talking about just technologies, but also we have Web3 Hub, or we have people, company like 9gag doing amazing things here to attract talents coming in the city. And we have the back of mainland China. And that's sort of where we get talents and also potential users. You're looking at Hong Kong with an 8-9 million people living in the city. But the main thing is we have 1.2 billion users, potential users in mainland China, and how Web3 could be Hong Kong could be the hub with a Web3 hub, getting access for mainland Chinese. I think that's how we become a global Web3 hub.
Okay.
Adrian, what are you investing in?
In Hong Kong? Well,
I need to know.
Good question. So we actually just invested in 2 Hong Kong companies. The first one is Memeland here, which the founder is here as well, Ray. And second in Hong Kong is Ordinal Wallet, because of the BDC historically happening over the past 5-6 years. So we invest in a company called Xverse, which is the largest Bitcoin wallet, but with a founder based in Hong Kong.
Okay, great. Okay, Edith, do you want to moderate this? Because, yeah, that was my question later. Okay, Gary, tell us, what's your definition of the hub in Hong Kong from the builder's point of view?
Yeah, from the builder's point of view, honestly, regulation does come first, and I know it's a boring topic for everyone to continually talk about, but for technology crypto to exist, for us to be able to build tech blockchain at scale for consumer applications, we do need money crypto and money blockchain to work. And Hong Kong is just an incredibly unique place. It's one of the top 5 capital markets in the world. It is the second largest asset trading market in the world, especially around art. It is one of the great logistics hubs of the world. It's the creative and cultural center for China still. And so all of these things mixed together actually gives the ingredients to actually build a phenomenal hub for Web3. However, I think that there's a very distinct flavor to what the Web3 hub in Hong Kong will eventually look like, because I think that there are going to be many Web3 hubs. It's not going to be one. Singapore is going to have its flavor. Switzerland is going to have its flavor. Dubai will have its flavor. Hong Kong definitely. And I think where Hong Kong's flavor is going to be, besides the capital markets, is that it is going to be an infrastructure. This is a place where traditional enterprises will move into the Web3 world. We, as Hong Kongers and Hong Kong builders, are going to build the on-ramps and the off-ramps that connect traditional systems to these new decentralized systems and actually allow for future Web3 scale. That's what makes Hong Kong special, and I'm really excited about that future. So it's not so much that we are necessarily building the consumer tech and consumer products, besides Memeland, that is going to change the world. But we're building all of the rails and the roads that's going to make everyone else's consumer projects scalable.
Yeah, great. So, Karen, as you can see, I would say that now, because Mochaverse just raised $20 million this week, I had to update this thing. But Memeland is one of the big brands coming out of Hong Kong next to Animoca. Like, everybody in the world knows this brand. Like, how do you see that fitting in Hong Kong, like, in terms of, like, the different builders and different companies in the city?
I think talent, that's like a good topic for us, like, because we've been around for 15 years and we're a veteran in the tech space, but we're always like actively hiring in Hong Kong, right? So I think like we're trying to build a company where we can like attract the talents as much as like building a remote space that is like comfortable for builders as well. So I think like the environment in Hong Kong is important for us to build fearlessly and still painfully bullish about the future. So I think like that's what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, great. So Edith, and from your side, you see a lot of hubs in Silicon Valley of all the different tech build up. When you come back to Hong Kong, like how do you see the hub and how do you see it growing through either investment or through some of the startups that are growing out of Hong Kong?
Last year, I wrote an article in SCMP about, can Hong Kong be the next Silicon Valley? And I think Hong Kong, in some sense, is already sort of the Silicon Valley for Web3. Have everything to do with Memeland. It's basically sort of the Facebook of Web3. And Mocha is like the Google of Web3. And both of these players are not just another companies who's like, oh, this is really cool and I wanted to start something new. It's very, very sophisticated Web2 player that really understands social and gaming and now is bringing sort of another layer to this ecosystem. So in some sense, and in combination of, by the way, I don't know if you guys know that I recently talked to some friends at the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Their daily trading volume is about 20 billion, and Shanghai Stock Exchange is 200 billion. And if you think about it, a combination of having SocialFi, which is you guys, and GameFi, which is more Animoca, and plus sort of the existing Fintech finance market, you really, like the talent is already built in and is there. So I can tell you, like in the States, you come to Silicon Valley, no one understands TradeFi or DeFi. Like they don't trade, like they are geeks. And then you talk about crypto gaming, and then they'll be like, oh, we don't want to touch crypto. So this is the one place where you don't have to explain. If you wanted to come to the city to build, you already have all the talents who's like there locally.
Yeah, great. Okay, so now I want to build upon that point. So Gary and Adrian probably know more about this. What is the government's plan? I think a lot of people know about the June 1st thing happened. There's a lot of exchanges applying for licenses in Hong Kong. People are coming in from China, coming from all over the world, trying to open exchanges in Hong Kong. How does that change the landscape? Are we become a big trading city now, or does that do something else to the city? And what is the government doing about this?
Yeah, so the Hong Kong government has decided since the end of last year that Web3 and Web3 development is going to be a key agenda of policy and regulation for Hong Kong going forward. For how long, not sure. But it is not a short-term or near-term goal only. It is a long-term goal the way that they're articulating it. They are starting with financial services regulation that makes all the sense in the world. The first thing that you guys know of, starting in June 1st, there's now a path to retail. Retail trading is now legal. You can get a retail trading platform licensed. And then there's a lot of other moves that are coming, including stablecoin regulation that will likely come to Hong Kong early next year. New data regulations, new VAS regulations, DAO regulations that are being discussed throughout government. Now, Hong Kong is a financial services hub. It is a financial city. And Hong Kong the government does see this as an opportunity to build the city as a virtual assets trading hub for the world. That's where they're going to start. Bring the world's virtual asset trading, all the infrastructure, all the money, right, all the assets itself, and base it in Hong Kong. It makes sense. The financial center is there. The common law system is there, which is what makes Hong Kong one of the large IP hubs for the world already anyway, right? And so that's the first move. But increasingly, what I think makes us all relatively bullish is that even though there is a lot that the government officials and regulators still need to learn, they're asking the right questions and they're listening to the people here. They're listening to Edith. They're listening to Adrian. They are actually trying to learn about what comes next. What is beyond financial services? What does Web3 really mean? I can tell you, when they announced that Hong Kong was going to be a Web3 hub, they probably had a very narrow definition of Web3, what Web3 is. Okay? But now they're expanding beyond just financial services. And bit by bit, I do believe that Hong Kong's policies are going to drive investment in and the actual local policies to build up the creative, decentralized internet that we all want to see.
Right. Adrian, stablecoin, Hong Kong?
Well, yeah, I mean, Gary has mentioned a lot about what happened in Hong Kong already. Stablecoin out to be a real asset, derivative potentially in the future is obviously important agenda on every, from my perspective, what government is thinking about. But one more point is during indoor meetings, which Gary was there as well with the government, which never happened 4 or 5 years ago. Crypto was all about regulations and enforcement. And usually you just hear from the Security and Future Commissions about crypto 4 or 5 years ago. But the indoor meeting with government, they has the bureau chief, they have the Hong Kong MA head, the SFC head, they have the financial secretary in the room, just talking to a bunch of crypto industry people. And we were able to talk about how what Gary mentioned just now. It's not just about a financial market and how we can bring more diversified companies from the States, from Europe, Middle East to Hong Kong. I think that's a key difference.
And this wouldn't have happened a few years ago, right? This is definitely
wouldn't happen in anything. I haven't thought about any years that.
Okay, so the question is, why is this happening now then? What is the magical movement that Hong Kong is now jumping into this space? I mean, we probably know what it is. Yeah, whoever wants to answer it.
There are many reasons. We cannot boil this down to a single reason or a single trigger point.
Okay.
I'll tell you, this city that we're in right now has a lot to do with it. Singapore, Singapore over the course of the last several years has taken advantage of Hong Kong's originally, policing policy around crypto, and Singapore has prospered because of it. Builders came here, companies came here, capital came here. The Hong Kong government would never admit this, but the reality is that you can't not notice that, right? The squandered opportunity. Hong Kong was the home for 6 of the top 10 exchanges in the world at one point, right? And then they all left. And so this is something that I think they're very well aware of, that over the course of the last few years, the policies in Hong Kong have left a hole. And thankfully, they are, I think, switching paths before it's too late. And that gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah.
Well, and one more point is when I was going out with the government to Japan to visit the Japan government on behalf of Hong Kong, this April happening this year, is the official saying that it's a proof of one country, two system.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that no one dares to say it, but it's official that Web3 being approved to be done in Hong Kong, while mainland China you can't do it. It's basically one country, two system.
Yeah. Just before we continue on that, how about Karen? You're more in the NFTs world. I come back to Hong Kong and there's magazines, NFTs, tons of Bored Ape holders in Hong Kong. How do you see that community being built there?
Yeah, exactly. I want to bring up the Ape Fest is coming to Hong Kong, right, in November. And we're doing our event, Memeland event, during the same week. So I think we're really seeing the great potential of more sophisticated NFT holders in this city. And we are happy to build a community for them. And we really want to make them see us as a hub for people to get together and share the knowledge.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so Edith, now you've heard of this and all, seen all this. And you work in the Bay Area, so you've seen all the builders out there. Does Hong Kong have a tactical advantage over, say, Singapore or the States for building in Web3 from all these new things that are coming out?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing to see Memeland and Animoca raise almost $1 billion.
Yeah.
Right, and it's so when I actually look at a company happen to be in Hong Kong, but it's super global. I don't think most people actually know you're from Hong Kong. Who cares?
Yeah.
In fact, Web3 is really about and by the way, I think what's going on in general with what's going on in investment in 2021, 30 billion invested in crypto. So as 2022, this year only 5 billion. 80% drop. And if you can imagine, most of the investors are really scared to deploy in the US. Where are they going to go? They're going to go to Hong Kong because this is the one place where they know is very, very government friendly. And the framework is there. So I actually think that if you are located in Hong Kong, this is literally the mecca where one place will attract the most investment, because you don't have to be afraid to build.
Sir, do you mind if I ask? So, as a Silicon Valley VC, are you hearing your peers? Are they actually considering moving capital towards Hong Kong explicitly?
Not only just capital moving per se. There are companies, even in the US, they're like, maybe we should actually move our headquarters somewhere else where there's clarity on what we're doing. So. Of course, Singapore, Hong Kong, Dubai are some of the hot spots, but this is the moment where I don't actually care where you're located because the whole world is decentralized. But you just wanted to feel a little bit better that no one is going to knock on the door in the middle of the night while you're building.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not a zero-sum game. This is the thing that is so important to understand. It's not Hong Kong versus Singapore, Hong Kong versus Dubai. It's the fact that all of these cities are going to have their advantage, their unique advantages, and together we actually create a global ecosystem for Web3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Karen and I co-host a show called the GM Show
yeah.
every
Oh, so
week
good.
for part of Memeland. And
Yeah.
we talk to a lot of builders around Asia and what they're doing. So we find like Singaporean startups would raise money here, Hong Kong, US, and then disperse their team around Asia where maybe some of the development costs are cheaper or lower, things like that. Gary, are you doing the same thing in Hong Kong Terminal 3? Do you raise money from somewhere else and then you have the C-suite in Hong Kong and then you're going around hiring other people? Or how does that work? I'd like to know more.
I think a lot of Hong Kong companies do that, not just in the Web3 space. We raise money, not that much, but we raise money from both Singapore and Hong Kong. And then, yes, our leadership team, our founding team is in Hong Kong. We are Hong Kong headquartered and Hong Kong based, but we do have engineers all around the world. We have engineers in Singapore and Vietnam and India, some in the Ukraine. And this is what I think is going to be sort of a future model. These companies are decentralized and distributed anyway. And Hong Kong is a great place to actually base the company, have core personnel, because top talent does exist in Hong Kong, increasingly is coming to Hong Kong. But there are also people from around the world who want to work for these global companies based in our city. And so we can actually create these companies that are distributed and have employees from around the world from day one.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk. Okay, let's stop being so positive. Let's talk about negative stuff for a second. What are some of the downsides that you see, starting with Adrian, about Hong Kong? Not downside, but some of the challenges maybe, right? Are the founders there good? Do you invest in a lot of Hong Kong founders? Or what kind of challenges you see in Hong Kong going forward in specifically Web3?
Well, I think in general, Hong Kong has been a financial hub. We are IFC, so the talents that we have are better in one sector. But in terms of developers, I think we are not the best cities among all the major hubs. But then we are for a lot of help from the Greater Bay Area. So we have Shenzhen, we have Guangzhou developers coming to Hong Kong. So I think that is not really a downside. Actually connects us much with the mainland China side. Another thing is probably capital is too much in Hong Kong sometimes, honestly. For startups to raise money, for funds to raise money, even though it's a tough market, it's much easier to raise in Hong Kong versus Singapore. It also makes some founders kind of confused what they should do in crypto. You know, in crypto, you raise tons of money. It doesn't mean that you could perform well with your company. So I guess having the Web2 mentors like you guys, helping the Web3 startups is also a very important thing.
Yep. Edith, how about yourself?
Downside, I can't think of any. But I guess, seriously, I have some Web3 founders who moved to Singapore. Really, no offense, I really like Singapore. But sometimes hiring is a really, really big problem in Singapore because most people do. I mean, Singapore is an amazing, amazing city, but they're having a hard time like finding employee really want to work past 6 p.m. or on weekends. They literally turn off their phone. If you hire people from Hong Kong, they work 24/7.
Yeah.
They work
That's right.
hard.
Aaron knows that.
And yes, I know Ray Cheng called you.
Ray Chen's
any
boss.
So in that sense, no, I can't think of any. Well, of course, sometimes you hear the negative news on like politics or whatsoever. But this is the one time where the government, you will not hear President Biden to say anything positive. So therefore, it's complete opposite. So I cannot think of anything bad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
No, I agree about like the talent thing because it's more competitive now. Like comparing to, they can choose amounts Dubai or Hong Kong or Singapore. These talents. So how can we be more of a company that provides more for these people and attract them to the city? And also we are remote, so you can work basically anywhere. So, but the key people are still in Hong Kong. So are they still attracted to work for companies based in Hong Kong?
Yeah.
That's the
That's the key thing, right?
challenge.
Okay, so like I mentioned up top, Token2049 used to be in Hong Kong. So we're very sad that we've lost it to Singapore. But to be honest, I think we've all had a pretty good week here. This venue is incredible.
Yeah.
The energy, people from around the world, because of the markets, I guess, are all coming here. I mean, before we'd have to fly, I think I've seen Gary and Edith in America at conferences over there, Web3 conferences. Now all those speakers are here this week. What do you think about that? I mean, is that exciting to you guys to see the roster of speakers here in Singapore, in Asia? They always call, a lot of Americans just say Asia, right? Like it's like America, right? Like Singapore, Hong Kong, and China are just Asia, but that's another story, right? But what do you guys feel? Do you think that gets a good spotlight in Asia in general, not just Hong Kong or Singapore, but having these kind of people come here? Let's start with Gary.
I think it's great. I think it's great that Token is in Singapore. I think it's great that Hong Kong has Hong Kong Fintech Week, which this year is really going to be Hong Kong Blockchain Week. That's really what it's turning into. And I love that Korea has Korea Blockchain Week. I love that there is a density of events in Asia that are distinctly Asian. Right? It is worthwhile for each of these places to have their own identities, and it's worthwhile, and it's great to see the speakers from around the world look for excuses to come to Asia to figure out what's happening.
Yeah.
The momentum is here.
Yeah.
When they come here, they realize, oh my goodness, right? There is an optimism, there is a momentum, there is a speed that exists in this part of the world that they no longer see in North America. It just doesn't exist. I built my entire career in North America, and then I moved out here and I realized, I was just like, why did I not come out here earlier in my career?
Right.
And that's why they sing. So I absolutely love it, and I think that they're going to go back and they're going to tell those stories, which is why the freaking roster at all of these conferences is so stellar. These are global conferences now.
Yeah, yeah. How about you, Adrian?
Well, I think we all need reasons to travel, so
Yeah.
it's very important. I think I like Token 2049 in Singapore.
Were you in Seoul last week?
No, I was not. My team was.
Okay.
I like the whole convention center.
Yeah.
We have 2049 this month. We are hosting ETH Hong Kong in the first one in Hong Kong on 22nd of October, and it's ETH Vietnam end of October in the Hong Kong Fintech Week in November. I think the main thing is easy to travel among cities in Asia.
Yeah.
It's so dynamic, and that's a very key difference actually from the US, because traveling from one city from east to west in US, it probably take more time for us to travel among 3 cities in Asia.
Right.
So that being dynamic, I love it, and I think Token might be in Hong Kong soon. We never know.
Okay, so Hong Kong Fintech Week is coming up in the first week of November. There's a meme fest coming up, Memeland Festival.
Memeland, yeah.
Memeland, and also 8 Fest, right?
Yes.
All that week.
And Solana Hacker House.
And Solana Hacker House all happening at the same time. So that'll be our week in November for that. That's it. Guys, we're out of time. Thanks a lot. We'll see you guys in Hong Kong in November. Yeah.